Yo, rise and shine, people. It's your boy M16. Got my boy Wild Bill here again. You know what I'm saying? We back with another video. Know it's been a minute. You know, we had a lot of business and stuff like that going on. But we back and we got something real interesting to talk about today. You know what I mean? You say what up to them, Bill.
What's up? You know, it's Wild Bill back in the building. You know, been a minute, been busy, everyday life, just living, taking care of the family, the kids, you know, trying to get focused, working. There's a lot going on. In my life is getting hot, you know, but we want to get into this Pistol Pete situation. Not Sex, Money, Murder Pistol Pete, but the Spanish Terror Squad Pistol Pete.
Fat Joe Pistol Pete. Yeah, we're going to get into that. Fat Joe Pistol Pete. You know, he got a video out there where he talking about how, you know what I'm saying, he was in Kasaki and he put a Puerto Rican flag in the middle of the yard and cut all black people that was out there and everything like that. It just sounds crazy. But
hold on, not to cut you off. First of all, he said he put a flag in the middle of the yard. Let me break down how Kasaki set up. Kasaki is a building. It's a square building. It got like a center yard, right? A courtyard type setting, and the floor is blacktop. So you're not putting nothing in no goddamn ground in Coxsackie yard. That's one. Two, you can't even have no Puerto Rican flags because the color's blue in it, and there ain't no blue allowed in the flag. I mean, allowed in the jail. Okay. So you're not having that. That's not happening. You know what I'm saying? So that's cap right there. You know. Now I don't know Pistol Pete personally. You know, I know who he is. You know, and I'm not saying he's not a get busy dude. He don't bust his gun, none of that. But what I'm saying is what he's talking about, what he did in Kasaki, that's like impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible.
But the whole story sounds suspect. Like he said how he told all his black friends to stay in. He told them to stay in because he knew he was about to go out there. He said he had a friend who had cut somebody and they was on him. So because they was on his friend and they almost killed his friend, he told all his black friends to stay in while he go ahead and cut every other black person on the yard. It just didn't sound right.
First of all,
like if you do that, first of all, and then he said he cut somebody right in front of the police. So is that possible, Bill?
Nah, this is not going down. Let me tell you, first of all, Kasaki, let me tell you the history of Kasaki. I don't know what year he said this shit went down in, but I know for sure the year I was in Kasaki. You know, I was in Brooklyn, always been deep in Kasaki. You know, you got Bronx, you know, they deep, they hold weight. Brooklyn always had numbers for some reason, you know, because it's a bigger borough. Yeah. But now for him to say he cut somebody in front of police, first of all, when I was in there, the Chase brothers that had that random center, y'all, whole barn, all of them, the officers that's in front of the unit, they could open the doors and look because you got doors all around that you could go in and go in different sections in the center yard to go inside the housing units. Because like I said, it's a courtyard and they got doors all around. So you can open up these doors over here to take you to A and B. You open up these doors over here to take you to B and C. Like I said, it's a courtyard with multiple doors. You're not going in there stabbing up everybody. Now, he might have cut somebody. It might have went down, he cut somebody, got into a scuffle, cut one or two dudes. But you're not doing it. You're not running around stabbing all the blacks or stabbing all of anything in that yard. And first of all, most of the people in there, in Kasaki, that's an adolescent penitentiary. And you know how the adolescents get down. They was wilding from Rikers Island coming up. So you got all the hotheads that's in Kasaki. So most of the dudes in the jail put work in already. You know, whether it was in the street, whether it's on the island, whether it was up north, because that's like somewhat a disciplinary jail at the same time. So it ain't too many sucker niggas in Kasaki. So for dudes, for you to tell anybody, oh, I'm gonna cut all the blacks, niggas gonna look at you, blacks like, who cutting who?
Right.
Cutting what? My cousin, like he's my cousins out there. Well, I got my dude from my block. You cut the wrong dude. They would have killed them in that yard. You know what I'm saying? They would have killed them in that yard. You wasn't then. How a riot is going on. Where do they get the time to shackle somebody up in the yard and take them out where that yard ain't under control, everybody on the floor laying down, but you going to pop up and you gonna chase somebody down that shaft, they would have shot you from the tower.
Yeah, for sure. They would have shut that whole.
You
They
would
would
have
have
been
shut
dead.
the whole floor down first of all before they even brought anybody out.
Before,
So he wouldn't have been able to just run up and cut somebody while they was locked up, like while they was in cuffs.
no, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Because they're going to make sure they got full control before they people come in there. They're just going to have the dude on the roof because that's the towers on the roof.
Yeah.
It ain't no towers, the roof, and they got little offices on top of the roof in all four corners that they be in. And it's not that big. So I could shoot from the roof and hit somebody dead on. So, and them dudes is Rifle Association clubs and all that. They've been shooting. Them white people up there been shooting. They not shoot. They not letting you run around that yard without putting you down.
Not only that, Bill. Talk about how like people be waiting to wreck, and him just telling everybody, nah, stay in your cell when they open up your cell for wreck.
Nah, the way that's set up,
Like
dudes ain't locking in their cell.
yeah,
They waiting to go outside.
Exactly.
They need their wreck. Dudes was in program all day, morning, afternoon. So you telling me to stay in? I can't go to rec. And rec ain't every day at night. You got inside rec one night, and then the next night you got outside rec, and then it's
ain't
vice
giving
versa.
up they wreck just so you could, just because you said you ain't even tell them why. It'd be maybe one thing if you told them, yo, don't worry about it, I'm gonna hold you down, whatever the case may be. I don't want you to get into nothing. I don't want you to get shot, nothing like that. But for you to just say, yo, everybody lock in. I gotta handle something on the yard. That sounds a little far-fetched. I'm sorry.
I don't give a
man.
fuck how much you kill. You got a whole lot of killers that been in there. You got a whole lot of killers that went through Coxsackie. You know? I was in Coxsackie when a dude cut two police. He got tired. He was a dope dude. He got tired of the police oppressing him, and he popped on police. The mentality in Coxsackie, 90% of people in Coxsackie is on go time. You know, even, I'm gonna put up, look at Little Red Cafe. I can't say Little Red Cafe. Cafe was in there with me.
What
He
else?
put in work. You know what I'm saying? There was a bunch of dudes in there that is on go time.
Yo, what up with my boy Red Cafe, man?
I don't know too much, but we was on the island. Me and Red Cafe was on the island. He was in March 2. I was running around the building. You know, he was what they called, it was Twilight Zone. They had a crew called Twilight Zone, mainly Brooklyn dudes. But Red Cafe official, but this is not about Red Cafe. This is going back to Pistol Pete.
Yeah.
And the things he said he did. Now, I put in major work. Me and my brother cut about 15 dudes in the CMC predicate house back on the island. And everybody's mad witnesses, and a lot of motherfuckers knew that me and my brother put in that work. Now, him saying that he did whatever, he ain't giving nothing. He said he stabbed everybody in the yard. That would have made history. Everybody been talking about it. I've been in the state for years. I know a whole bunch of people in the state that still going in and out the state. They would have told me some shit about that. It would have been publicized. Yo, Pistol Pete put that work and he put that pain in. When he stabbed 20 people in the yard, 30 people in the yard. You know what I'm saying? My son Light, when he cut all the Spanish dudes in 10 lower, he cut about 15 motherfuckers. That made history. People still talk about Light, God bless his soul, the vow, you know? He put that work in when the Latin Kings tried to run him out of 10 lower and they scratched him. Boom, he put that pain in. This is something that with Pistol Pete saying he did, why nobody know about it? Why I didn't hear about it? Why none of my peoples in the 5 boroughs heard about something like that happening?
Yeah, we from the Bronx, so we would have heard about it.
You know, like I said, I'm not saying that he ain't put no work in or he don't get busy, but he didn't do what he did, what he's saying he did. He ain't put that pain in like that.
Sound like cap.
Yeah, he might have shot somebody, killed somebody in the town. He might have cut a couple of people. Matter of fact, he did. I did hear he cut somebody, a Harlem dude, official Harlem dude. He did cut official Harlem dude. You know what I'm saying? That I know that he cut. But if you ever cross paths with this dude, the dude is going to murder him. Because he ain't cutting no slouch dude. They just saying bump heads across the path yet. So, like I said, I give him his little props on that. He ain't no sucker, but he ain't do what he said he did. He ain't put that pain down in Coxsackie like that. You know? He was cap. He could have said, yo, I went at, boom, 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 I did this, you know what I'm saying?
I used to see him over there by 153rd in Cortland. When I used to live over there, I used to live right there on the corner, right there in that building on the corner. It used to be right across the street.
Yeah, I know my dudes over there too, them hellbound dudes. You know what I'm saying? I was in the feds with them. They know my family. They know me. You know, like I said, I'm not saying he ain't putting no work in. He ain't a get busy dude. But you got to come better with his stories, you know, because that's like Fat Joe saying when Fat Joe talked about he robbed the whole gym, and then he had dudes that he robbed holding people jackets and coats while he was in the gym. Like, yo, come on, Fat Joe, come on, man.
Stop the cap.
Come on, like you going too far.
Yeah, you going too far, Wayne.
You ain't got. You know, if you get busy, don't put yourself way up here like you did that. Like you. What's the Punisher? Like he's the Punisher.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that ain't. You know what I'm saying?
That
Everybody know that shit ain't adding up, man. So,
you got busy. You got into a situation in Kasaki. They cut your man, or your man cut somebody in the past, or they cut your man in the past, and he got revenge, and y'all got into a little scuffle. Things went down, and that was that. Police is killing people in Kasaki. They've been killing people in Kasaki for years, you know. And you see how the police, they just had the situation with the other dude in Marcy. They done beat him to death. So don't think you doing what you doing, and police ain't putting hands. They waiting. They want wreck too. Just like everybody in Kasaki want wreck. Hobart is a 6'6" dude, about 6 foot, about 350 pounds. And when he step on you, Hobart, when he step on you, you know you got stepped on. He want the wreck. And he had his little girlfriend named Tweety, and she was about 90 pounds. So you looking at a 306 dude messing with a little thing, 90 pounds. You just call her Tweety. You know what I'm saying? But it was going down. They wasn't, the police wasn't jerking no wreck. The inmates wasn't jerking no wreck. And the tension was always high in Kasaki. And Kasaki is a predominant black jail because all the bullshit that they doing across the street in Green, running all the blacks out. So whenever a Spanish dude come in there, they ready to get at him. They don't care if you mess with blacks or not. You Spanish. You a German. Right. They don't give a fuck about that. You were German and you condone all that shit that was happening across the street. So now it's get back time. So they not letting a Spanish dude come up in there. If you official dude, they might let you rock for a little while, but you ain't got no say in it. They not letting you have no sound of pound where you can tell niggas you can't come out. The pussiest nigga, I'm like, well, you a German? Fuck you mean I can't come out?
Word up.
Yeah, you call shots over there across the street and Green some motherfucker where you ain't got no say up in this motherfucker. Not in the cat. Not in the cat. Talk about it's a racial thing. Racial, y'all don't got no say. The Spanish dudes never had no say in Kasaki. They ran Green. They had all the say in the world. Did blacks dirty over there? You coming to Max? Their niggas is motherfucking quiet. It's right next to Albany.
Oh, all right.
Kasaki, New York, upstate New York.
Yeah.
Kasaki, the half the blacks in that got ran out of Green, that's in fucking cat now. They waiting for a Spanish nigga to come up in there so they can get their wreck. They waiting for the few Spanish dudes that been in that got a little strength or whatever they ain't pussy that niggas letting live. They waiting for them niggas to get out of pocket so they can pop off on them.
That's a fact.
So
this ain't nothing against Spanish because we got family that's Spanish. We got, you know what I'm saying?
I got uncles, cousins that's Spanish.
I always get, Bill too, we always get mistaken for being Spanish, all that. We from the Bronx.
So I grew up with them, you know what I'm saying?
We got family and friends that's Spanish. I'm not Spanish, even though I might look it. You know what I'm saying? I'm Egyptian, but, you know what I mean? I'm African, so, you know what I mean? But I always get mistaken for being Spanish.
We still grew up around that, you know? I done went through situations with Spanish dudes, and it was like, yo, you from my hood. Like a couple of Spanish dudes from 183rd that I dealt with that put in that work that when the black and Spanish war was going on the island, you know, it's like, yo, you don't come at me, I don't come at you. But if I get your man, you get my man, that's that. But we ain't gonna come at each other because I know your mama, you know my mama type shit. You know what I'm saying? We from the same block, we gonna see each other again. So we gonna go the opposite way. If it goes down or when it goes down, you know, we have an understanding.
Let me ask you a question. What about the people that's involved, like that's half Spanish, half black? What do they in jail? What do they? Because remember, like Fa and Mikey, God bless his soul, Mike, God bless his soul, that passed away.
But they just you got to pick a team. You know, you got to pick a side. You definitely got to pick a side. You gonna mess with them,
the reason why
or you gonna mess with that? You know,
Pete said he had a black friend that came to him for help and everything like that. So I was just wondering.
No, it was a Spanish. The Spanish guy had people, the black dudes in another jail. They had cut him and ran him out the jail. That's what he's saying. So like if it's a situation like that, is all right, I'm gonna holler at my peoples, my black peoples, you know what I'm saying? And we're gonna get you a one-on-one. Y'all can go knife to knife, gun to gun, or whatever you wanna do with homeboy. But we ain't gonna let no riot happen.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know the definition of a riot. Riot when everybody's fighting. Not just you. You might have popped off. A riot when everybody's getting busy in the yard. And if everybody's getting busy, you know what I'm saying, that's blacks against Spanish. So you not just cutting one person, you not cutting everybody else, and everybody just sitting there like sitting ducks. A riot mean everybody's getting busy.
So Pete, man, stop the cap, man.
Yeah, he taking points from himself. He knocking himself down. You know what I'm saying? By saying shit like that. You getting a dislike. You put a dislike taste in dude's mouth that did respect you. Now they looking at this clown ass nigga. You know what I'm saying? You knocking yourself down doing that. You know what I'm saying? Be yourself, be original, stand up and do what you've been doing. You ain't got to tell none of these crazy stories to try to get fame and all that. Niggas know what it is. Their peoples know what it is. Like I said, I ain't saying you a sucker, but you didn't do that.
Yeah.
You didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't discredit yourself, because now everybody's going to question the shit that you really did. Is he really a get busy dude? Yeah. Don't put yourself with people who question, you know what I'm saying, your integrity and how you getting down. You know? You've been standing up. You know what I'm saying? So keep on standing up. You know?
That story, that whole story sound outrageous. Anybody who knows what it is gonna pick that whole story apart, because
jail is
you can
business.
tell it's a lie, bro.
Dudes have been doing time, been jailing. You know what I'm saying? You had Tom Cross in there. You know, that's the big homie from the Bronx. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to him, man.
Yeah, he's sick. He ain't in the best of health right now. But you had a lot of official dudes. Mac Monty, you had my son Tattoo. You had Brownsville Deep. My son K Bourne. You had Bourne son up in there. When I was up in there, listen, we ain't gonna even go in there. We ain't gonna drop all the names. Because, like I said, 90% of the pound was official. Shout out to all the brothers that was in Kasaki the years I was in there. My son Germ, my son Nickel B from the Bronx. Stand up, you know.
Yeah.
Mad other dudes, my son Ro. Shout out to all the dudes that made it through. That wasn't gladiator school, but that was a gladiator school, adolescent man. Shout out to all my dudes that made it through there, you know what I'm saying? Stand up, you know. I'm going to give all my peace and blessings to everybody that been through the struggle. And all I say, yo, just keep it official, you know. Stay to the facts.
Word.
You know, on that note, you know, we're going to hit you again, you know, real soon.
Real soon. Peace and blessings, everyone, man. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. We coming back with a lot more, so stay tuned.
You already know.
You already know. Peace, y'all.
Peace. Peace.